Hello! Welcome to The Corner Table, a podcast about food and drink in Madison produced by the Capital Times. 2017 in Madison was, as predicted, the year of the taco, but it was a good year for barbecue and Indian food and craft beer too. This week I'm talking with another local food writer, Kyle Nabilcy, who writes the 2-cent pint for Isthmus and reviews restaurants as well. I'm your host, Cap Times food writer Lindsay. I love that we have so many voices writing about food in Madison, and I'm always happy to chat with Kyle, especially when we have totally different experiences of the same restaurants. Stay tuned to hear what we think was the best of 2017 and what we would like to see come to Madison in 2018. Hello, Kyle. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So it has been kind of a crazy year. I was trying to look and see all the things that have opened and, some of the stuff that's closed this year, RIP OSS.
Right.
And so I'm just wondering, have you been doing kind of taking the year in stock? Have you been looking back at this year, and are there highlights for you? Things that you're like, this was the big thing for 2017 for me? Yeah,
I've been trying to, if just to remember what the heck happened in 2017. It's been bonkers. Personally and in the world of food, my head is spinning on my shoulders trying to figure out what the hell's been going on. As sort of predicted by the announcements that certain things were opening, it was kind of the year of the taco, the gringo taco, as I think I've called it maybe here before too. But, that kind of Cal-Mex deal, the not quite Central Mexican Highlands kind of taco, but more the San Diego kind of taco or Austin-y kind of taco.
It was funny. I was looking to see, I like to read trend pieces this time of year, and there were a bunch of folks in DC complaining about the poke trend. And so I wonder if a year from now, you and I will be like, oh, poke, we're drowning in poke.
Right. Right.
I thought it was really interesting because when you and I reviewed Canteen, we had opposite experiences.
Mm-hmm. The cauliflower in particular.
Yeah. I loved the cauliflower. I thought
it was
great.
A total bummer for me.
Yeah.
And I was super excited about it too. So.
Yeah. And there was, I think I had maybe the El Pastor, and I was like, it was dry. It wasn't very good. And you loved it, I
right.
think. Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed is that elote, or versions of sort of Mexican street corn, have showed up everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Not just places that are doing tacos. I saw it, I think, at Bear and Bottle. Pasquale's has had it. Just Mexican street corn everywhere.
Yes. Elote is really easy to put together, even if you don't want to serve it on the cob. Because I feel like on the cob, it's always better than, scooping it with a spoon.
It is.
But if you do it with a loose corn in a spoon, you're still doing all right.
So one of the things that with elote sort of on the cob or off is the messiness quotient of how you're eating it.
True.
Which made me think about one of the places I went to this year that surprised me was Mad Seafood Boiler.
Yeah.
And the food comes in plastic bags. They serve it to you in plastic bags. And when it first came, I was like, is this a
super sketchy
thing? Yeah. it feels like, it looks like a garbage. And this style of eating is so popular in the idea of the Cajuns-ish, crab boil with lots of butter, lots of chili, garlic. But the crab's delicious.
Yeah, it looks pretty legit. I have yet to get there myself, but that's one of those 2018 things I got to do. I joked when it opened that I was excited to see them delivering pots of boiling crab by the peanut rails from the old AJ bombers. Just slide them down your table and bloosh onto the.
That sounds so dangerous.
Mostly not serious, but still, here's one mad boiling crab. Boom. Yeah.
Some other things that I loved this year. Ogden's North Street Diner. Did you get there?
Yeah. It's really fun. That's one of those places where you almost, as a person in our place in the food conversation, you don't want to talk about too much. Not because it's any sort of real unique gem or anything, but it's so of its place and it serves its neighborhood. But at the same time, it's just so much fun. It deserves to be talked about because it did kind of stick the landing.
It really did.
Yeah.
Ogden's feels a lot like Lazy Jane's in its feelings of comfort. Speaking of comfort, it has been exactly a year since I think Morris Ramen opened.
Mm-hmm.
They became one of my favorite places this year. I was there a lot.
It's really fun.
It is really fun. I have had, I think, everything on the menu now. I've tried all of it.
And it feels to me like the enthusiasm from Matt and Francesca is really palpable in the place too, and just sort of in the vibe around it. Like they've really created a place that makes you want to go there. It's not too scene-y though, like it's not too cool for itself, but it feels like it's a place that people should want to hang out in.
The tables are pretty close together, and it is a little bit like that kind of the four-quarter style of like a little too dark, a little too loud, where you have to lean in. I want to relax when I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
One place that I was excited to discover this year was D Messala on the west side, and I have not made it back in a little while because it's far west side.
On the west side, right.
The Indian food there was so good, and I think Madison has really started getting some good, like really good Indian places, and I'm excited to see some of the things that have a little bit more spice, a little bit more like kind of depth of flavor, like the really big dosas at Om, for example. Yeah. I love those. Yeah. It's kind of nice to see that we have more options.
I think there's two very distinct waves of Indian food, or categorizations of Indian food in Madison, where you've got the handful of them that have been around for forever, and have really established the market and the community's palate for Indian food. But then you can use that as a springboard too, rather than it just being stagnant. And you get more places that open that sort of either riff off of it or go deeper into the catalog of Indian food, or just elaborate on specific regions of Indian food, things like that. So you have Om, you have places like that have really used the existing Indian restaurants in Madison as a leaping off point.
Yeah, Chat Cafe is one that's new that really wants to dig into Indian street food, which I thought was really fun. I had one of our freelancers go and write about that, and so it's kind of fun to see that sort of specificity happening. Yeah. In some of the restaurants now.
We're just now like in the Midwest getting used to the idea of what it really means for regional Chinese cuisine. I think it's about time that everyone kind of get used to the idea that there's regional Indian cuisine too.
So the year in bakeries, we got Bloom
right
on Monroe Street. I went to Bloom, and then I went back, and then I kept going back because I love the delicacy of some of their pastries.
Sure.
And it's just such a sunny space too. Yeah. I really like Bloom a lot.
Yeah, I've had the donuts at Hertz out there on the
Did you like them?
Remote reaches. Here's the thing about Hertz donuts. They're better stale.
What?
Yeah, they're better the next day.
That's weird.
They're way too doughy and just like spongy and big, and they're overtopped, and you just get this like molten sugar. And listen to me downplaying sugar and fat, but it's just it's too monochromatic. It's an explosive kind of assault on your palate. When they get a little age on them, like the next morning or something like that, you get that little bit of crunch around the edge where the bread starts just to stale up a little bit from the exposure of the air, and it provides a different experience in the donut. It sort of knocks down some of the extreme luxury on your palate of all of that, hot fat that went into creating the donut. Another RIP for Dough Baby, which never stacked its donuts like, cars at the Cadillac Ranch. They had subtlety to them in addition to being a little bit nutty sometimes. So yeah, I'm going to miss those. I really hope that that Christine Miller carries through with her assurance that she'll show up here and there every now and then.
So I fell completely in love with Cassette Kitchen and Counter this year. They did a beautiful job with my birthday. James Juedes, who's one of the owners, was actually at my friend's birthday party like a week ago, pouring a wine tasting as part of her.
Oh,
because
that's fancy.
Like we're adults and fancy people. Yeah, it was very fancy. I love them so much that when my friends had a baby this summer, they were still in the NICU with their daughter, Joanna, and I had signed up on one of those meal trains to make them dinner.
Oh, sure.
And it's a different thing, I think, to make someone dinner and bring it to their home where they can reheat it than to bring them food in the NICU at the hospital. And so what I did was I just went to Cassette and just like brought them dinner, and they had like I think a couple of meals off of it. But it was it's homey enough. Right, it's not chefy food.
Yeah, so. And just like on the profane side of the sacred and profane, having not been a New York guy ever, I feel like the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich there has to be pretty true to the style. It feels right, It's this kind of sandwich where you have it in your hand, and you're like, oh man, there's some serious business going on here, and it's hot, it's on a Kaiser roll. It's kind of a perfect breakfast sandwich. The eggs are fluffy, and the cheese is kind of ridiculous, frankly, because like if you don't eat it over the foil, you're probably going to get some on your clothes. But it's just like it's perfect. And I see the mortadella on the menu, and I see all these other sandwiches on the menu. I'm like, I want to eat that. I want to eat that. But if I'm there after, like before 11 o'clock in the morning, there's nothing that's going to stop me from ordering a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
I love their they do an eggplant sandwich like once a week. They feel very elegant and very like the service is all very beautiful and the food is excellent, but you're still sitting at a bar in a deli.
Yeah.
And there's something kind of very city about that I like a lot.
Yep.
Just to kind of segue a little bit into the year in booze on the east side, State Line Distillery. I have gone to happy hour a couple times there now. They're open just mainly on weekends.
Sure.
They've got food carts coming. If they're just doing gin and vodka so far, I could drink all their gin drinks. I mean, it's so good. And Mike McDonald's the bar manager there,
Sure.
beverage director, and he's doing the big ass ice.
Yeah.
That's like really dense and awesome. And he's doing just all kinds of cool stuff. Like he's making bitters out of cola, and like he showed me the jar where he'd put all the ingredients for these bitters he was making, or maybe it was a liqueur. I don't know. It was awesome.
Mad science, whatever it was, yeah.
I love that enthusiasm and that kind of willingness to experiment.
Yeah.
But also that really detailed attention to balance and to making sure that the end product tastes good.
Right.
Because so often you'll see restaurants being like, oh, we need to have a whole cocktail list of original stuff, and every single one of them has elderflower liqueur in it. But you're more into the beers.
The beer is my thing. Yeah, like it's weird sitting here at this table with you, not having a beer to open up and share. Little too early in the morning. Pull back the curtain here.
What are you looking forward to with beer? But also, like, what were the big things in beer this year?
This year, for me, 2 breweries stand out. Locally, Untitled Art, which is brewed at Octopi in Waunakee. Isaac Shawaki is the founder. But it's a partnership between Isaac and Levi Funk from Funk Factory. They have done some styles of beer that are sort of regionally popular but hadn't really sunk in here yet. Like first and foremost is sort of the hazy thing, the very cloudy, very almost murky beers. They've done a number of those, both in the sort of Northeast IPA style, which is sort of typically where you see it, where they look like an Orange Julius. And they have a very similar flavor. They're IPAs that don't have a lot of hop bitterness. And so Untitled Art's been doing a number of those, but then also doing some really heavily fruited Berliner Weiss beers. The blackberry one is out right now, and that's great. And that's another thing about Untitled Arts is they do collaborations with other brewers too. So like the third party will come in. And so there's another one that's going to be coming out. It just got released for Untitled Arts' first anniversary party, which was over this last weekend. The Mango Milkshake IPA. The Mango Milkshake is with Pulpit Rock Brewing in Decorah, Iowa, the other Decorah brewery besides Toppling Goliath, because everyone kind of knows Toppling Goliath. It's like mango nectar when you pour it out of the can. It's got that sort of bloop pour to, like it feels viscous coming out of the can. It's not thick like you think it's going to be from the look, but it just looks satiny. So they do a lot of collaborations with other brewers. It's just a really fun project. They've done some really cool stuff. And the other one that I'm excited about that's also spinning off on that New England IPA is the Brewing Project out of Eau Claire. Their flagship beer is Dare Mighty Things.
Oh, I
Theodore
love that
Roosevelt
name.
quote. I think Theodore Roosevelt on the can, and yeah, it's a cool. It's like yeah, hell yeah, I want to drink this beer now. I'm like all fired up about it. And they do a bunch of different versions with single hop. So they do one with Citra, they do one with Mosaic, they do one with Galaxy that just came out recently, and those have been getting hazier and hazier as they've sort of been dialing in their recipe too. And you want that soft feel on the palate that it looks like it should feel soft when you drink it, and the good ones do. The bad ones are a little more harsh. You don't want hop bitterness in that style. And so between Brewing Project and Untitled Art, I feel like we're kind of starting to get spoiled with that style for not being anywhere close to New England.
So there are a couple of breweries that are coming soon. I guess I thought Working Draft might already be up by now, but they're not quite, right?
I don't think so, no.
So, but they're coming to the east side.
Yeah, in that sort of complex what used to be RP Pasta. And I'm super jazzed about that because in addition to the brewery coming, which hopefully will be good, the food at the tap room will be via the underground folks. So Johnny and Mel will be kind of spinning off the success that they've had at Four Quarter with some of the meat work that they do at Butcher. And it's going to basically be the barbecue restaurant that us barbecue nerds have kind of been hoping that Johnny Hunter would be able to do sometime, because if you've had the brisket at Underground Butcher on Wednesdays or Saturdays, you know it's for real.
I feel like there were a lot of barbecue spots that we kind of like looked into this year. There was Beef Butter Barbecue, there was Rib Masters, a lot of sort of barbecue trucks and things have been starting,
Right.
Which is fun. R.I.P. Double S Barbecue.
Another one, yeah.
Yeah, on Monroe Street. I thought they were some of the best in the city.
They were really fun.
Yeah, and I loved. There's a barbecue place out in Wanakee that I
Blow and Smoke.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was wonderful. But I don't get out to Wanakee as often as I
Right,
get to
right.
Monroe Street.
Right.
So, it strikes me that there's going to be some changes there. I know that Brick House has got a new chef,
Yeah.
Candy
yeah.
Flowers, doing some interesting stuff there.
A little more pan-Southern.
I think so,
Is
yeah.
that the idea? Sort of merging it with Sweet Tea? Is
Yeah.
the other restaurant that she was.
Yeah, so I'm
behind.
looking forward to kind of checking that out too. But yeah, the barbecue is going to be getting better. The other brewery that I was thinking about, Eric Jones over at Giant Jones, is making it happen. Like,
Yeah.
he quit his other jobs and he's just doing the brewery now. And it seems like they've got some really good momentum over there near where Old Sugar is.
Right. Yeah, I'm between Working Draft and Giant Jones. I feel like there's going to be an interesting 2018 for getting to know new brewers.
Yeah, and
in the area.
Distillers too, because
Yeah.
there's a new distillery out in the Sun Prairie area called Too Tall, and I met the women behind it a couple of weeks ago. I haven't done anything about it yet, but I'd like to go out there and just sort of try their spirits. I think that Isthmus had a story already, but it's kind of fun to see that growing as well.
Yeah.
Stuff I'm looking forward to in 2018. I'm excited to go to Mint Mark.
Yeah, it's I'm super jazzed for that. Yeah, and it looks great. Like I said, just walking by the other night, the interior looks like it reminded me just a little bit of Lost Lake in Chicago, just a little.
Me too.
Just enough.
That's what it made me think
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
The palms on the walls, I think, was the big thing
Yeah.
that it made me think of Lost Lake. That kind of tiki vibe.
Yeah, it's not as dark and lose yourself in a big sugary alcohol drink as like the Foundation in Milwaukee, but it has that definite sort of tiki, more intentionally tiki than Robin Room, for example.
Yes.
Which has just sort of coincidentally tiki in some of its drinks, and then they do their Tiki Week stuff to sort of amp it up a little bit. But yeah, it seems like Mint Mark is going to feel a little more Polynesian than, by default and from the get-go than those other places, yeah.
I like seeing a lot of sort of indoor plants as part of the decor, that kind of living decor. Everly did a little bit of that in their interior design.
When I was out in Rhode Island over the Thanksgiving holiday, Bayberry Beer Hall was a place in Providence that had that same sort of feel. It was like an outdoor beer garden indoors. So they had a lot of string lights and they had a lot of blonde wood and picnic table style tables, and it felt like they just put a roof over an outdoor beer garden. It was really cool, and it had a great vibe to it, and everyone was happy. And so yeah, that sort of that feel of vitality in the room. And it's weird how plants, just like a simple couple of plants, can do that. But in the right circumstance, absolutely.
I've been looking at what trends we might see coming. One trend that I want to see that we don't have yet is cold brew coffee cocktails. That's what I want. 2018. Give me coffee and booze together. It's like Irish coffee, but more fun and more interesting. I love Irish coffee, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I am a cold brew drinker, and you could shake up cold brew with other things, and it's awesome.
Right.
So,
Lindsay, that's my wish for you for 2018.
Cold brew coffee cocktails.
Right.
I want up and down, same cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because then you equilibrium.
Yeah.
Is there something that you want in 2018?
That's a tough call. I was really excited about Dough Baby, and I felt like that really dialed in what I, when I travel and I find my donut spots in whatever town I happen to be in. I felt like that was sort of Madison's map pin, was the Dough Baby shop. I would like somebody to come up with a novelty donut shop that is not all caps novelty, but is not just like, hey, we have a glazed donut that has tricks on it. That's my wish for 2018, is a really well put together novelty donut shop.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I so appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a blast.
Have a great 2018.
Lindsay, you too.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
This has been The Corner Table, a podcast about food and drink in Madison produced by the Capital Times. Editing for the podcast is done by Eric Lawrenson, and our music was composed by Patrick Christians. You can find more details about all the things we talked about today, including a Best of the Year food roundup, at captimes.com. Subscribe to The Corner Table wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Facebook at Corner Table Podcast. I'm your host, Cap Times food writer Lindsay Christians. My wish for you this week is a fantastic 2018 full of the food and the people that you love. Happy New Year!